Ole PaPa-NuNu official YouTube channel lo clear tu hai po in rengin sibai kabuk cheu tulai Mizorama trek lung an chou su na le in zamin video a viral na sa AMM la Mizoram chau ni lo zon ha thlak umna abik takin Meghalaya khomnisin la Assam khomnisin Manipur khomnisin la zon ha thlak umna taphoda chun Mizoram channel hi elo YouTube channel hai hi elo en ve na sa lein hing ting hai khom ni ting hai khom hin na sa takin a viral via chule in zom chun ching lema ei hit fe theina dingin trek lung hi imana Neolithic tools hi imana ti hai mi hle kha thim research archaeologist chin tholai mek Dr.Shring dau lang thasa in pol puinai hei nei dingana ama hin trek lung imana ti hai chip chir takin mangril pek dingana chun nam dangan ni lein ei thim no chungin sapronga hi interview ei tidim in pol puina hi ei nei dingan lein thim lo chunga yong hang dingan lein in hrit thim na khom kongen hala aman thoka thupoi mo tak tak ang hu khilding hai hi atop chen melo ngai thlapek dingin ngai na takin kongfil cheu ani. Thank you so much. So I welcome Dr. Shring Dau Langthasa in my PaPa-NuNu official YouTube channel.
Thank you, PaPa-NuNu official YouTube channel, for inviting me, and thank you to all the viewers for watching this very show. So before I begin, let me give a short introduction about myself. I am Dr. Shring Langthasa, and I hails from Haflong, the Mahasau district, Assam, and I have done my master's back in 2014 from Cotton College, and later on for my research, I went to Assam University, Silchar, and there I pursued my MPhil and PhD from the Department of History, Center for Archaeology and Museology, under the guidance of Professor Alok Tripathi and Professor Sajal Nak. So my PhD topic was based on the archaeology of the northeastern region, and specifically the topic was archaeological excavations in the northeastern region. So during the course of my research, I have gathered sources, data of all the reported archaeological sites from the northeastern region, and in my thesis, I have catalogued all the findings made in this very region since the inception of the archaeological studies in the northeastern region. Thank you.
Ole khachana khan in phel khidna yang nei thein sin la lomung tak jata hi ahun poimo tak nang pek lein achunga hin PaPa-NuNu official komin kan lom hia churul rolin hi ei thu poimo tak holim na hin poimo tak a point hai hang lutum haleita chu atop chen melo khirpek jing dingin aina takin kongfil cheu ani tu hin trule poimo a ei ngai hai indon nang semeita chu thadiwa hi thil hi poimo em lein amiruk chu ei mi namdangan ni lein theyangangin thim no chungin saprongin kanong mangtum dingana chu angai dan kha milo thim pek dingin kongfil bok cheu. So now I ask you regarding archaeology. What is archaeology? What is the importance of archaeology? How does it help us understand our past?
So archaeology, it is a subject, it's a discipline. In our region, archaeology is very much inclined towards history and anthropology. So in history, the students of history, they use archaeology as a source to write down the history of the particular period or the particular dynasty or the kingdom or a community. So archaeology is a systematic study of ancient remains which may be exposed over the land or may be buried underneath. And those buried underneath are being exposed over the ground through systematic excavation. And those which are exposed above the ground already are like the monuments which we see directly with our eyes and which we can just feel it. And in a simple terminology, we can call it any tangible remains are known as the ancient artifacts of the past. Tangible artifacts of the past means those monuments or those structure which are more than 100 years can be deemed as monuments or can be deemed as archaeological remains. And those archaeological remains are very much helpful to write down the history of the region. So, and those artifacts comprises of various remains, such as it can be ecofacts, artifacts, monuments, and so and so.
Thank you so much. And what are some of the key archaeological discoveries made in northeastern regions of India?
So if you see about the archaeology in the northeastern region, then the study of archaeology in this very region can be traced back to the colonial period. The first report on the archaeological remains from the northeastern region was documented by Kazim in the 18th century CE, who wrote about the temple ruins of Assam. So, and in later period, many of the colonial officers and administrators who were posted in this very part of the country, while they were on their official duties, they stumbled upon ancient remains and they documented it and published in various journals of the British period, such as the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, then various other and in various other articles. And in later period, first report were made on monuments from Upper Assam. Then in the later period, stone tools were also being reported. Jadeite stone tools from Namsang Naga area of Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland border area. And after finding that various Jadeite stone tool, it had extended the boundary of the East Asiatic Neolithic culture into the very northeastern region. From there, we understood that during the past, there were cultural transition. There were movement of people from the East Asia or Southeast Asia into the northeastern region, and then in the later period, more monuments were being reported, more monuments were being discovered, documented, and being published in various journals and proceedings. And in the independence period, after the founding of the Kamarupa Anusandhana Samiti,
Yes.
which is known as the Assam Research Society, they were the forerunner. If you see, they were the forerunner because the remains that were being reported by the British colonial administrators and officers, their insight, the way they view the very region was different from the angle that were being seen by the local natives, and those very natives and those things got started after the establishment of the Kamarupa Anusandhana Samiti in 1914, and simultaneously in frequent years, many more such remains were being reported and discovered, and even from each and every nook of corner of the northeastern region. For example, if you see in Arunachal Pradesh, then we have remains of a medieval period, such as structure in the foothills of the Assam and Arunachal Pradesh border. There we see fortified settlement, such as temples, and all also are there in the foothills of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. And if we see in Assam, then we see remains such as monuments, then Neolithic sites, then in Manipur we see Neolithic tools, cave settlement, such as in Tharon Cave. We found there are many Neolithic artifacts which show us that very cave was used as a settlement by the prehistoric people. And if we look into Meghalaya, especially in the Garo Hills, we find lots and lots of Neolithic tools, Neolithic sites. Maybe it belonged the people who lived there back there in the back days. Maybe they practiced the Neolithic cultural things, such as they used stone tools, especially for tilling soil for jhum cultivation. Again, if you see in the Meghalaya, again there is another monument, such as menhirs, dolmens, which are collectively known as megaliths. And megaliths is a thing which are specially related to the ritualistic, cultural, and traditional practices of the ancient people. And if we look into Mizoram, then we see there we see cave. Then there we have menhirs. Again, there is a very famous site called Vangchia in Champai, where there are various type of menhirs with embossing of various characteristics. There we find in that very menhirs of maybe it was a chief, maybe it was a portrait, maybe it was it was a bas relief menhir, and in that very bas relief menhir it depicts a warrior or a chief, and the animals that were being depicted in that very menhir was believed by the expert that that very chief had hunted all those animals in his lifetime, and the head and the head of humans were believed to be the one which he had hunted. Again, there we see a gong, which is a traditional instrument of the Mizo people. So again, from these remains we can understand the history of our ancestors. Again, if you see into Tripura, if you see into Nagaland, again in Nagaland we see menhirs, then tomb, their burial practices can be known from the archaeological remains. And since northeastern region, we have more than 200 ethnic groups, and all those 200 ethnic groups, they don't have the script of their own. They don't know. They didn't have script. They didn't store their history through writing. In fact, they recorded all their history in the menhirs or in the megalithic remains. So, in order to understand the history of our past, we need to very much understand and decode what all those megaliths and menhirs really means. And if we understand that very thing, then we will be able to understand the history of our forefathers. Again, if you see the archaeological remains in Tripura, then we see temple remains and Buddhist monasteries and all. So in the northeastern region, there is a whole lot of structures. Then we have remains from the prehistoric times also. So our northeastern region is very much rich in archaeological remains.
Thank you so much. Then, as far as your knowledge is concerned, how does it contribute to the identity and heritage of the indigenous communities?
As I have just told, those archaeological remains are actually the heritage of our ancestors only. It's just because we are lacking in terms of equipments, then in terms of human resource, because not very much, not everyone are interested in understanding the archaeology. Everyone just consider it as a remains from the past. Those are just stone structures, and just they leave it without trying to understand the context of that very thing. So also by overlooking that very thing, we are not being able to understand our past. So it will be very much beneficial if we truly understand the actual meaning of those remains. Then it will be very much beneficial for us to understand from where we have come to this very region, and how long did it took for us to be in the present stage of development. And in order to understand that very thing, first of all, we need to systematically explore the region, document oral narratives, because most of our history lies in the oral narratives. Oral narratives means the knowledge that has been transmitted through mouth to mouth, without any written evidence. So our history lies in the oral narratives, and so it's very much important for us to document all those remains, all those oral narratives, and bring those oral narratives into perspective by corroborating it with archaeological remains. Once it gets corroborated with archaeological remains, which is a tangible source, then the oral narratives, which we often believe it as a myth, can be proven, because oral narratives is also a codified history.
Very interesting question. What role can local communities play in preserving archaeological sites and materials?
So first of all, if you see, as I have told, not very much, not everyone understand what archaeology is.
Yes, yes.
That is a main thing, and it is because there is a lack of awareness program. Those who are into the discipline, for example, if I speak personally about myself, before I get myself enrolled into archaeology, I know nothing about these remains, the importance of these remains. So once only I got enrolled into archaeology, I came to understand its importance. And so as our northeastern region is very vast, it is very much dense with jungle. It's very difficult to penetrate into the jungle. So it remains out of reach from the expert of the who are already in the archaeology. Most of the remains that are being reported from the northeastern region are not found through systematic exploration. Most of these remains are found through by chance, and it most probably these are being found by the local villagers during hunting or during zoom cultivation, during clearance of jungle. They by chance found all those remains. And if they don't report this very thing to the concerned department, then this thing will be lost. And once it is lost, then we will not be able to recover it. So it is very much, it is very much needed. In fact, local communities are the most, how do I put it? They are the one who report all these things to the authority. Then only it comes to the notice of the archaeologists most often. So it's very much important for the local communities to report whenever they found, wherever they encounter such kind of remains. Then if they report it to the government, then the government will be able to, the concerned department will be able to document it for future generation. Because in the fast developing nation, in the modern times, everything is going very fast. So in that very thing, everything from the past will be lost if these things are not reported. So it's a request. Everyone should report it. For example, if you see, this is a Neolithic tool.
Yes.
These are Neolithic tools. We call it Neolithic tools, but in the local dialect, everywhere in every nook and corner of the world, these things are known as lightning bolt. Lightning bolt. In the Dimasa dialect, it is called as Sarathai. Sarathai means lightning bolt. But actually, if we see, if you see this thing in the scientific way, then these are not lightning bolt. In fact, it's a tool. It's a tool from the past. These tools are known as Neolithic tools because these are very much chiseled, very much well polished. That means new stone age. And prior to this type of tools are very much rough. And those rough tools are known as Paleolithic tools. From Paleolithic, there was a transition into Mesolithic, then Neolithic. So Neolithic culture in the very region lasted until 18th century. Very much interesting. While the British officer J.P. Mills, while touring in the Naga village in the 18th century, he encountered in the Naga village that the natives were still using this type of tools for tilling soil. For this tool were used for tilling soil. A bamboo or a wooden stick will be hafted over it, and it will be used for tilling soil. So this was a transition from old Stone Age to the new Stone Age. And with this, the people started to do agricultural activities. And if you speak about this type of tool, then it was first reported from Arunachal Pradesh. So, and in very much interesting that this type of tools are very much helpful to connect northeastern region with the East Asia and Southeast Asia. Let me give an example. The first systematic excavation in the northeastern region happened in 1962 at Dauzali Hading. And it was the first...
Dauzali Hading in the Mahasau.
Yeah, Dauzali Hading in the Mahasau. Whenever, if we look into the NCERT textbook, class 6 and all, from class 6 onwards, in the Neolithic section, if we see in the northeastern map, then we find Dauzali Hading, Sarutaru, and Parsi-Parlo. In Parsi-Parlo is in Arunachal Pradesh.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I will just give a brief description about Dauzali Hading, what Dauzali Hading is,
Yes.
and why it is important to understand the Neolithic history of the northeastern region and its cultural connection with the Southeast Asia and China. So the Dauzali Hading site was excavated in 1962, and it was also a chance discovery. While cutting earth for making Lamding Haflong Road, a section in between a section in between Langting and Kalachan, while cutting earth, they found this type of tools. And after examining, it was very much close. It had a close contact with the East Asiatic Neolithic complex, and the pottery that were being found from that very region has a striking similarities with those found from China. So it indicates that the people had moved from that place to here, back in the more than 2000 years old. And this 2000 years old is a scientific date. In 1962, excavation happened, and from that excavation, pottery and all were being unearthed from that very site, and those pottery were being scientifically dated through thermoluminescence dating. So in archaeology, there are various ways to date artifacts. We cannot directly date these type of tools. But if we find in the same stratigraphy means same layer. If you find these tools along with the dated object which has carbon imprints, or if you see into pottery, then we can do thermoluminescence dating. And thermoluminescence dating means if a pottery, through thermoluminescence dating, we can understand at what temperature that very pottery was fired. And if we are able to find it, then it's very much possible to identify the very date. So the date that were being found from Dauzali Hading was 1700 BP. That means before present. Artifacts, this type of stone tools were also found from Gawak Abri in Meghalaya. And the remains from Gawak Abri were also dated. And the dates from Gawak Abri and Dauzali Hading was quite similar. That means people from Southeast Asia, the people from there, they had moved into this very part of the country, and they had settled in this very place, maybe for doing jhum cultivation, because in Dauzali Hading, evidence of settlement were also being located. There we found iron slag also. That means people also used iron. And same thing were also being found from Khasi Hills in Meghalaya. The earliest date for iron usage in this very part of the country was dated to around 200, but second century or 200, second century BCE. That means more than 200 years back, people were using iron in this very part of the country. And if we, for example, let me give how important is this very tool to us, for the student of archaeology and for the general mass to understand the history of our past, is that this is very much important. Because in the olden days, people didn't write anything. All they left behind are these type of remains. So this is very much important. And people also have misconception regarding this very tool. They assume it as a lightning bolt. whenever there will be thundering and then there will be light, then after it strikes, after it strike the earth, then this type of tools get exposed. So people believe that this type of tools are actually a lightning bolt.
Yes. Yes.
But
Sure.
according to scientific terminology, it is also proven that these are not a lightning ball. This is a Neolithic tool, and these are made out of stone. And this can be made out of various types of stone also. For example, it can be sandstone, it can be granite, it can be dolerite, various type of stone. So back then they don't have anything like iron technology wasn't invented. So in the Neolithic, main thing is what? Neolithic means people transited from just hunting. But before Neolithic, people were just dependent on hunting. They don't know farming. But in the Neolithic period, they know the technology to farm the thing. And for farming, they need tool. Zooming for in the zoom activities, they need tool. And these were their tools. So these are not lightning bolt. This is a Neolithic tool. So whenever, by chance, if you find or locate this type of tools, then please report it to the concerned department. For example, it can be submitted to the district museum or cultural center, or maybe to the Department of Archaeology, because in the northeastern region, every state has a cultural department, and every state has their own law and act of archaeology. So it will be very much beneficial for the greater cause of the society if these tools are being reported. If you find this type of tools nearby, then it will be beneficial if these tools are reported and submitted to the concerned department. So once again, I want to remind that this is not a lightning bolt. This is a stone tool. We call it stone tool. If it's a very well chiseled, very well polished, then it's a Neolithic tool. But if these are very much rough, very much crude, and very much rudimentary, then it can be a Paleolithic type of tool. But finding of Paleolithic type of tool is very much rare in this part of the country. So most often, these type polished tools will be found in the northeastern region, and especially while clearing jungle for cultivating jhum, because in our northeastern region is very much suitable for jhum cultivation, and this jhum cultivation is also a Neolithic tradition. It has been practiced by our ancestors since distant past, and it is still in continuation. So and for example, if I say why these are called lightning bolt, is because whenever there will be lightning, and if the bushes are very much dry, then when it strike that very place, then the very place will be, after the lightning gets struck, it will the bushes will get burned, and after it get burned, the hidden tools will be exposed. Then people start assuming it as a lightning bolt. And people also have a misconception that it can heal various types of ailments. For example, if you have a stomach ache, and if you put this very thing in a glass of water, then it might heal. So these are misconceptions.
Ole tuta ang khil tang khan ei tong in heng hin hang ril fe tang in la tlang mi chun trek lung 80 vonga sap tong chun lightning ball anti ve thungani scientific thing ruk chun trek ti tak hi current fat takana lung le in zomna ing khom anei no ni tuta trek lung 80 tak hi Neolithic tools lung chikhat hi lung chang em tin lai mi han thir an lo mangma mangro poimo taka fak zong na rim rei poimo taka hi lung hi an lo mang ane chun hingang umna hmuna chun tin lai in hilai hmuna hin mi an lo khosange ni ti asuk ching na poimo taka nia chun hing mi masa lo hai hi ap le pu hai le in zom na mani an lo nei khom onel theya chance khom umbe na agumani chulein no ma sukri ralal wa museum amni art and culture department annoli archaeology department anno le research scholar chatak tak hai in hlunvat acha carbon dating hai thoa ing tu kumalo chantam ti hayang anni le atha rinon la khom akum hai chu frit suk thei na hong bokani chun hi lungchang hi rim rei poimo takel hi trek khomina zuinu mantia san chu lungchang ani le hin thiranga changani le hin trek khom chuna zuk zuinom dewa trek in akol a sirvel dam i mani akum bela deng chun hi rim rei lung hi a pholang lagani expose lagani tikha hi research scholar anthoka thu ezungai thakdan toiti kang refini rose what is the future of archaeological research in Northeast India, and what areas still need for more exploration?
So if we see before directly giving this very answer, let me just share with you all the viewers about the experience which we had in this very district working as a field archaeologist or research archaeologist. If you see, we have joined this very department back in the year 2023, 24. So since then, we have discovered around 15-16 sites in this very district. So the research in the archaeological research in the northeastern region of India is very much in its infancy. It's very much terra incognita, means there are very much various areas that needs to be studied. Most of the areas are still remain untouched. Just imagine, in just a span of 2 years, we have located and reported more than 16 sites in a small district. And if we compare it with the Northeast, then just imagine how big Northeast is and how many such archaeological treasures will be there in the very region. So from the scratch, if we say from the scratch, we need to work. There is nothing so clear about the archaeological limits. If we see from the past, if we see through chronological order, then besides some sites such as Gawak Abri, then Dauzali Hading, only a few sites are being dated until now. And from Tharon also, scientific data were being provided. But most of the sites that had yielded this type of tools, Neolithic tool bearing site, is yet to be fully documented. Fully in order to fully understand the very nature of the site, in order to understand the context, in order to understand the nature, in order to understand what people had ate, means what they had their staple food, it still need to be understood. And for that, more research in that very field has to be done. And if we see the historical period, then in the whole of northeastern region, Ambari archaeological site is the most hyped archaeological site among the archaeologists. And it not only attracts the archaeologists from this region, but also from the mainstream archaeology also. But until now, the natural soil of that very site has not been yet rich. It is not clear from when the people had started to make permanent settlement in the Ambari. Ambari is a very famous site located in Guwahati, just nearby the Reserve Bank of India. So the archaeological site of Ambari was found by chance while digging earth for constructing the Reserve Bank of India. So from then until now, see the gap, how long it has been. But till now, the concrete evidence of Ambari is yet to be understood. And the excavator, archaeologists and all who dig that very site, they hide their incapability by saying that it's very difficult to dig because after reaching certain point, they had found water level, so they fail to excavate. But if you see then excavation can be done even in the ocean also. But how will it not be possible to excavate Ambari? If there is a potential, if they are willing to do, if they are very much interested, then obviously they could have done. But now see the gap. Again, if you see in our district also, uh, stone jars, if you see, stone jars are very much important to understand the history of the megalithic tradition. Okay, megalithic tradition. If you see megalithic, then we can, as I have told earlier also, like menhirs and all, and then stone jars are found in the Mahasau district, then in the Saipung Reserve of Meghalaya, then in the Southeast Asian country of Laos. And in between, no such jars are not such jars have been reported. See the distance, how it reached the Mahasau and then into Meghalaya. But it is not clear when the tradition was first started in this very region. But the recent date from Saipung Reserve, during the excavation, they had found some charcoal sample, and it has been dated to 2000 years from now. But who were those people who created it, and where have they gone, and why that very tradition vanished into the thin air? No one knows why. It's because there is a lack of systematic research. So these are the fields that can be researched upon. And if you see the temple ruins also from Surya Pahar, in the Surya Pahar of Golpara, there are like religious structures of three different dharmas, like Jain. Then we found Bodhi structures also. Then we found Sanatan structures also, but not clear who built it, which period. No one knows. Why? It's because we lack systematic research. So I would like to say that there's very much scope in studying archaeology. Anyone can pursue archaeology after masters or after graduation. If you're from the science background also, and if you are from any of the humanities background, you can join archaeology. Just give an entrance exam for masters, or you can go to the mainstream institute also. But if you are interested in studying archaeology in the northeastern region, in this very region, then there is a department in IIT Guwahati also, Department of Humanities and Social Science. There they teach archaeology, field archaeology, then lab archaeology also they teach over there. Then if you want to study archaeology, then there is a provision also in Cotton University also. And after studying archaeology, for job prospect, you can join the Department of Archaeology. It has a central department also, Archaeological Survey of India. Then respective state also has their own department. Say for example in Assam, we have Directorate of Archaeology. Again in Arunachal Pradesh also, we have the Department of Archaeology. Even in I think in Mizoram there is a archaeology. There is not a separate department. Maybe it is under the Cultural Affairs Department. But there is a circle of Archaeological Survey of India. And then there are the things after pursuing archaeology, we can apply whenever there comes post, whenever there is a vacancy, we can apply, or else we can be an independent researcher also. We can contribute to the greater cause of the society. So various scopes are there in archaeology. You can pursue PhD also, because very few candidates opt for archaeology. Archaeology is just nearby us. Just if we look around, then there is archaeology. But since we don't know what archaeology really is, so people don't tend to join that very discipline, and because of that, we are lacking way behind than the mainstream archaeology, or the remains, or the if we compare it with the archaeological studies or field of archaeology in the mainstream, then they are very much they had gone way far ahead of us, and we are lacking way behind. Why? Because we don't opt that very subject for pursuing our career. So one can join archaeology department, and if you are willing to go to Delhi, also there is a institute, Indian Institute of Archaeology. It's a very and that very institute is run by the Archaeological Survey of India, and there we have Deccan College. So there are very good institutions are there in our country, and there are also, after joining the archaeology, one individual can collaborate it with the foreign nationals also, foreign universities also. There are very much scope.
Thank you for sharing your ideas, and I hope the message which you have shared will have a positive impact on my viewers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm very much pleased, and I hope to meet you again. And to all my viewers, if anything you have doubt regarding archaeology, or if I have said something which you don't exactly believe it as true, then yes, I respect your views. And if you want to know more on the archaeology, then feel free to contact me. I will share my details to the respected host. So we'll see you again. Thank you so much for being with us. Chutai.
Bye.
Chutai.